Silicon Valley is now under pressure to deal with the complaints about sexual harassment, data security, user safety, and privacy. One venture capitalist firm hopes to turn the tide of public opinion by investing in new tech companies that aim to solve the world's hardest problems. Chamath Palihapitiya is founder and CEO of Social Capital. It's a $2.5 billion venture capital firm that invests in healthcare, education, and financial services. The company's portfolio includes file share company Box, business application Slack, and online survey company SurveyMonkey. Palihapitiya was Facebook's vice president for user growth before starting Social Capital 7 years ago. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for being here.
So the question is on issues like healthcare and climate change, is that there is some special approach that venture capitalists have, or is it that you're just getting engaged at all instead of just trying to make money creating these little apps?
Yeah, it's very much the latter. I mean, I think what's happened in the last probably 10 years is particularly young people has lost faith in the institutions that were supposed to be solving these problems. And so, when I took a step back at Facebook, I had a decision to make, which was to continue to stay there, and I had a lot of success there, or to take a lot of those financial gains and reallocate them to these kinds of problems and say, well, if the EPA is not going to do something around climate, what can private citizens and what can technologists do to solve them? If, for example, Health and Human Services can't make a lot of progress on cancer or diabetes or asthma in, middle America or low-income communities, what can we do using software and technology? And that's what we've done, and we've had a lot of success.
To use a bad phrase maybe, but are you trying to hack government or just go around it?
Neither. I would just say that at the end of the day, look, America is driven by this sort of industrial resolve and this sort of entrepreneurialism where if things aren't solved, private citizens tend to be able to do a good job. And the reality is for-profit businesses tend to be the best way to solve these problems because they create enduring companies, right? And so at the end of the day, if we can put a dent in cancer or put a dent in climate and leave these companies in a state where they will live past our generation for our kids and our kids' kids, I think that's a fantastic formula.
Your firm uses artificial intelligence, right, to decide what to invest in. Describe how that works.
Sure. I think we're in a world now where there is so much complexity. Things change constantly, right? You'll have a company that's successful today, and tomorrow it could get disrupted. And so what we did was we took a step back and said, in that kind of a model, we have to be really responsible when we invest. And the best way to do that is to have computers help people like myself make better decisions. And so that's how we do it. We use computers and software to help analyze a lot of data inside of a company so that we don't miss things.
Our viewers are familiar with you because of some of the warnings you've raised about Facebook and social media being addictive. One, your kids are not allowed to have any screen time.
Yeah.
How old are your children?
9, 7, and 5.
Do they like you?
They love me.
How does that work?
So you see yourself.
I think.
We were texting with them earlier, and I'm
But how does that work in your house, especially because this is definitely your wheelhouse. How did you do that?
It is,
and why did you do it?
It is critical for me to do my part in raising morally and ethically aware children. I want children who can make eye contact. I want children who know how to resolve conflicts with their peers. I want children who understand the dynamics of interpersonal relationships that are physical and tactile. I do not want children that only know how to interface with the world through a screen.
Oh, so here's the question, Slack.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we be down the hall talking to each other instead of slacking with each other?
So when you are 18, 19, 20, 35, 45, and you're doing work, and you want to efficiently do work in an organization, and you want to be in an organization that doesn't have office politics, Slack is a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
But when you are 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, and you're developing your sense of self, my perspective is you should be looking at people in the eye, you should be dealing with them in real life, you should be getting a job, you should be outside playing, you should be learning how the real world works.
All that sounds so good, but I want to go back to your kids for a second.
Yeah.
How are they going to navigate the world when we live in something that is that everybody is so technology focused and so attached to the technology?
Well, let's put it
How
this way.
are they going to navigate?
I mean, we all have smartphones today.
Yeah.
How long did it really take us to learn? Well, frankly, smartphones only existed for the last decade.
True.
Right? Did we all have computers when we were growing up? No, I did not.
I didn't either.
Right? And I learned how to master a lot of what Silicon Valley has to offer in the last 15 years. So the point is, adults, when they are trained, are capable of many things. So I suspect that my children at some point will learn how to use these devices and they'll be okay.
So let me ask you about the CEO of Salesforce, who we all know, Mark Benioff, has said that social media is so addictive that it should be regulated. As the former head of Facebook's user growth, do you agree with that?
I don't think it should be regulated in the construct of how people use it. But I think what's really important is to do two things. Number one, all these social media sites now allow us to confuse truth and popularity. That has to be fixed.
So true.
Because
Yes.
every normal citizen has a right to know what is factual versus what is amplified by good actors or bad actors. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is every single citizen of every single country of the world has a right to understand what data are they giving and what are they getting. And so in that construct, there's probably some regulatory framework that makes sense.
How does the regulatory framework deal with the first piece, though? Because government getting involved in that is just going to be a mess.
It's unclear to me, but I think what it's probably going to do is going to result in a refactoring of how business models work on the internet. Listen, the reality is, for the last 20 years, we've been living in a utopia. We all get things for free and we pay nothing for them, right? Now, if you, for example, bought a car and you were just given the car, meaning it cost nothing, and then the seat belts didn't work and the airbags didn't deploy, you'd have no recourse because the car manufacturer would say, well, hold on a second, I gave you a free car,
Yes.
right? If you bought milk, you can expect it to be pasteurized. If you're given milk and it makes you sick, you have no recourse. So similarly on the internet, we have to ask ourselves, if you are not paying for something, you are probably part of the product, not the consumer or customer who has rights by buying a product.
Right. Wow. Really good to see you.
Yeah, love
Thanks,
talking to you. Thanks for being here.
With one of the coolest names in the business. Please say it for me.
Chamath Palihapitiya.
There you go. See, I told you it was cool.